have a discussion group and see how others feel about the topic as well. Again, I am always thinking about the relevance in different environment, because you're talking with Europe and we are the Asia Pacific and America. So gardener may mean different things to different people. So maybe that's something we have to think through. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Who wrote? Who is wrote? So Raji, sorry, she can't. Christina is going to connect, it seems.
Okay. Yes, because we delayed this meeting for them, and hopefully Christian's trying to connect. Okay, and Taiwo. Send to. Yeah, just send a text to Taiwo.
Christina?
Oh, yeah, Christina is, yeah, okay. Christina is there.
Oh,
Morning, Christina.
You are muted in case.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to connect in my computer, but it lasts longer. So I'm trying to start here with you in my cell phone. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
I can see you. Yeah.
Christina, what do you say? Good morning in Portuguese, is it?
Bom dia. Bom. Good is bom. Bom.
Yeah, it sounds quite like Italian. Yeah, it sounds quite like Italian.
Buongiorno, bom dia.
Buongiorno. Giorno é dia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, I have 2 kids and and their parents here, French kids. So
bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour.
Bonjour.
And the 2 years old one says used to say bom dia.
Before we start, Christina, are you okay to do your materiality talk on next week? Is it okay?
Yes, I think I answered.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
after this session, I will formally announce, because your topic is very interesting as well, and so because everything joins together, and I think
me, I'm very interested in listening to you.
And I think we should keep on going on so that we can learn from each other. And okay, we're 3 of us. I think we'll start, and hopefully Taiwo could join us a bit later on. Okay.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Okay,
Ed.
thank you. So I go through the presentation I gave in Barcelona last April, plus some integration that I did. Obviously, I go faster. How much time should I spend?
Please take about 20 minutes, 20 to 25, and then we can have time for discussion.
Okay. So obviously, when I speak to many people, I go deeper with some topic. But what I actually do at the beginning is to introduce the team about the epiphany I had on project management and sustainability. And it's a true story. My office not many years ago was on the top of the on the roof of a supermarket. So you arrive there, you take your stairs, you arrived on the roof, and you have a cement desert, no, with just cement and few offices on the edge. So it was really terrible to see, very hot in summer, bone freezing in winter. So one day I had this genial idea. No, I told my boss, why don't we plant some pot with the trees there? And he said to me, okay, very good idea. The important is that the cost is zero. No, okay. So I went to the building manager, and I found out that surprisingly there was some budget exactly for that allocated a few years ago and not used yet. So I called some local gardener. At the end, no, I succeeded in having 10 pretty big pots, no, like that, with 4 meters trees on this gray desert, no, plus some minor pots with bushes. So nice, no? The original idea was to make it nicer when a customer comes and visit you. So result achieved. After a few weeks, I found out that birds started visiting our terrace. No, it was very chirping on the branches, very nicely. Plus, we had some lavender bush, and butterflies started visiting, adding splash of colors, and the bees start coming and pollinating the flowers. So again, nice, not expected something more. Nice, but not enough. What happened was that the leaves start shading the surface, and the temperature decreased. So from one side, we start using a little less air conditioning, so economic saving. And more important, from my perspective, is that people from my office and the other offices started coming out for drinking a coffee or having the meals or having a phone call, things like that. So a community was established. Before we were used to stay into the offices in the air conditioning. So my epiphany was in that case that there is much more than just the deliverables in a sustainable project. This is how I typically start my presentation. And it's true. I still sometimes I visit my gray desert, and the trees and the pots are still there. So I go on. So what is the request that sustainability gave us as project manager? Extending the time horizon. In large, I have here the definition of sustainability. I don't want to annoy you with it. So how we manage this? Extending the time horizon, enlarging the audience. So extending the time horizon, future generations. The timeline is so extended. Enlarging the audience, the non-market stakeholder, so the community, the world at large, and managing the value over deliverables. The value that there is over deliverables. So this graph that maybe it's easier. The original project management, the one of the PMBOK 1, let's say, okay, how it worked. The perspective was the project life cycle, and the people orientation was relegated to project team, executive sponsor, shareholder, maximum. Today, the modern project management, the project management that we are managing today, realistically, we include the deliverable life cycle. So we are including not only the timeline of the project itself, we are looking over the deliverable, the product life cycle, and all the stakeholders, all the market stakeholders. So this is modern project management. I would like to point out that we do that, we include the deliverable life cycle, so we extend the time horizon, and we include all the stakeholders, all the market stakeholders, because it's our interest. It's not because we want to go in the paradise of project managers, no, because it's our interest. Because for the organization, including the product life cycle in our consideration when managing the project improves the performance in the next years. And the stakeholders, including the community, the market stakeholders, when we make decision, when we decide how to manage our project, it's our interest because we live. We understand that we live in an ecosystem. So what is sustainable project management? How it works? Extending the time horizon, so the outcome life cycle over deliverables. And the stakeholder orientation increased. So the local community, the global society, the future generation. So this is what we expect. And again, I would like to say that I expect that we need to realize that it is our interest. So we need a narrative to explain to our stakeholders, to our project sponsor, to our shareholders that it is our interest. This is an additional slide that I added. So for sustainability in project management, the left part, how can we manage? From one side, we have deliverables. We can make more sustainable deliverables. It's something, it's sustainability. We have a deliverable, probably our organization starts the project because of the deliverable, because it wants a deliverable or some deliverables. We can drive our organization to make more sustainable deliverable, greener, etc. But there is a value over it. And again, sustainability asks us to govern, to take into account what happens over deliverables. For example, in the example of my gardens, the deliverables were the trees, the planted trees. But governing that there is a value over it, that is, for example, the sense of community or the savings for the air conditioning. It's something that happens over the deliverables, not expected from the deliverables. Maybe at the beginning. So keeping into account also what happens over deliverables is what is expected for a sustainable project management, in my opinion. One thing that I discussed last week when I was at Politecnico di Milano in the discussion with Max Panaro. Max Panaro is an Italian guy. He's a vice president in Maire Tecnimont, and in IPMA is the head of the sustainability. It's called. It's not audit committee, but it's the sustainability group of IPMA. I had also the opportunity to listen to Mladen Vukomanovic, currently president of IPMA. And in the presentation he did in 2022, I think, in Milan, he used this icon, rest in peace, triple constraints. Because, okay, now the point that obviously they want to explain is that today it's no longer a matter of just a triple constraint. There is much more than we are expected to manage. Okay, I think we are okay. But I said to Max, now I was disappointed. In my opinion, saying rest in peace, triple constraint is not in favor of implementing sustainability. Because if we go, we project managers, we go to our project sponsors and we say, you know what, dear project sponsor, starting from today, we are sustainable. So rest in peace, triple constraint. I will focus on long-term value. What do you expect that the project sponsor does? No, probably he fires you, no, or okay, is shocked, because obviously organization starts project for the deliverables, and the project sponsor has in mind the triple constraint at the end of the day. So we need to manage, to find the balance, and to show how we manage deliverable, maybe convincing the project sponsor to make deliverable more sustainable, so more green or more socially sustainable, and then manage the value of the deliverables that in many cases is for free. No, it happens anyway. So being aware that what you create with your project has a long-term impact. Somehow, sometimes you make a fantastic project. No, you develop the COVID vaccine, so you have an impact, a global impact. Maybe your project is a smaller one, maybe just impact the local community. It's fine, but anyway, it has some impact over deliverable. Governing also that is part of what, in my opinion, sustainability in project management requires. Then, so I say that the paradigm of project management is shifting. No, is changing. Here I took the orchestra director. That was the one I think we all of us remember from the PMBOK 6. But there are also others. No, now I am investigating. I told Ravindra that I am investigating, so I will tell you later on. There are other paradigm that other metaphors that we can mention. Anyway, the orchestra conductor, that is something almost everybody remember about. How it's a good example I still use in my courses, no, because he or she has the responsibility of the overall results, is very focused on let everybody express themselves, but on the other hand, he or she is focused on the sheet music that is the plan, no, out of the metaphor, and is very directive. There is not much room for creativity, no, if we think to this to this metaphor. On the other hand, so I say that the best metaphor for the project manager today is the gardener, no? And I will tell you in which way. So there is a very naive slide here. I see that it is represented by a daisy. So the first thing is that I start from this one. The gardener observes the genius loci and is not able to go against it. The genius loci is the spirit of the place. So as you said before, Pravindra, maybe a gardener is given a piece of land in Italy or in New Zealand or in Brazil or I don't know, in Norway. Okay, so you cannot say, okay, but I want to plant cactus. So anyway, I find a way to plant a cactus. I need to accept that the environment where I'm working on is with some characteristics and accept them. So observes the genius loci. The garden is not the gardener. So in this case, I want to point out that the gardener is not when you visit a garden. If you go all over the world, there are beautiful gardens. Very fond of them. If you visit a garden, you don't know who is the gardener, who is the director of the works. Okay, the gardener let the garden express itself. So the same. Third point, the gardener nurtures the ecosystem. So in this case, the point is that you need to let the ecosystem thrive. You cannot work against the ecosystem. Not only you let the environment being as it is, but you must nurture and let it thrive as it is. The use of resources is sustainable, so it is efficient. It's not someone wasting resources. And on the other end, looks for the long term. If you have the opportunity to plant so many flowers, beautiful flowers, flowering all in June, no? You know that in July there will be no garden. Okay. Also, the same metaphor works for example, for the big trees and the bottom of the daisy. You see something related to that. No doubt that the gardener has a long-term vision and planning, meaning that if you are a gardener, if you have a garden, you always there is the real garden and the garden that you have in mind as a gardener. And when you look at your garden and other people says, hey, Edoardo, you see, that plant is almost dry. No, it's not that nice. But how can't you see that in 2 years there will be a beautiful tree here? So the long-term vision is something that is natural for a gardener. And as well, this is something related to sustainable project management, having in mind the long-term impact. The gardener bewares of technology. The gardener knows very well that there is no way to have a new machine, a new fertilizer that can fix everything. So obviously you need to know something about, and you need to be able to use also fertilizer. Okay, and fertilizers or machines. But at the end of the day, you rely on your trees and your soil and your environment. Bewares of weather forecast, because the gardener knows very well that long-term weather forecasts are not possible, and also short-term sometimes are wrong. So the gardener must get prepared for the unexpected. So the risk management and adaptability. The gardener is open to fail. No? There is no garden if you are not open to fail. It happens sometimes. A plant is not growing as expected. Sometimes they don't grow at all. Sometimes they dry. Okay, and it is okay for a gardener. Obviously, you are not happy. On the other hand, you learn that plant maybe is not right in that place in that season, maybe. And one point that I really like is the bottom. Plant oaks for the benefit of future generation. If you plant an oak, oaks you are sure that that plant will survive you, no doubt. No, they live for hundreds of years. So if you plant an oak, you are looking for future generations. This is the idea, no? The mindset, the generational mindset. It's something that I really like. Going to close. But be realistic. No? So we fly tight now, but I like this this statement by Adam Smith that I'm sure you know. That is, at the end of the day, you need to balance the beauty of your garden, that is the environmental sustainability and the social sustainability, with the economical sustainability. Don't forget about it. If you forget it, obviously your project won't be sustainable. One example that I like to say is that what about if you have the opportunity to plant beautiful sycamores, no, beautiful the majestic trees, the big trees in your city. Is it a fantastic sustainable project or not? If you plant sycamores, you have additional shading, and people can go there in summer and having an aperitivo if you are in Italy. But if you are in a big city, no? If you are in Milan, okay, probably you have money to manage the management of the trees and sorry, I lost the term. Cutting the branches and everything is needed for managing. But if you are in a small village, for example, I live in a small village with 2,000 people living, 2,000 inhabitants. Probably you have to cut money for the schools or for social activities for managing your beautiful avenue, no, planted avenue. So you need to be realistic. From one side, no, the beautiful metaphor of the gardener, of the project manager as a gardener, but remember to be realistic. This is the end. What do you think?
The garden looks very nice. And okay. Okay, I will now open up the floor. So everybody has about 5 minutes. Who wants to start first? Christina, you have
Maybe the
Yeah, I can do
should.
it. Well, very, very interesting approach. I like it very much. Thank you, Eduardo. And you before you talked about the gardener, you talked about the sponsor, which is for me, it's a very important role in the projects. And sometimes the project manager forgets the sponsor. And being the gardener, maybe they used to look only at the project, at the results, and what is going on inside the project contest. And as Prawinda always say, I like to connect with the strategy. So it's important because depending and making a comparison with the gardener, if the gardener was contracted to prepare a garden to be only to be seen, it's different from a garden that it's was expected to be used or to give fruits or to give lectures or things like that. So it's important to this connection. What is the objective of the garden? Because it's going to change the approach of the gardener. And connecting this to sustainability, I'd like to listen to your view about it.
Ed.
Yeah. One good thing that positively, impact the approach of a gardener is that the gardener is not only responsible for planting the garden in many cases, also to manage it. So the long-term perspective probably is enhanced when you know that you will be involved in the outcomes of your project after the project ends. In addition, you know that there are I don't have the English term, the machine to cut the grass. How is called? There are
Harvester?
the robotic
Harvest.
Sorry?
Harvester.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the robotic harvester.
Big machines, big machines.
Maybe you know that today there are beautiful robotic harvester. So I informed. I went to the shop here in my town, and I informed, and they want to make it work. You need to dig a cable all over your garden and around each tree, for example. And for me, was a nightmare because I'm used to plant trees time by time. No? So my garden changes time by time. So it's impossible for me to have the robotic harvester. So this is a point, Christina, very good point. Obviously, now the project manager is just responsible for it. One point that I'm also wondering about is that the gardener is used to and maybe likes get his or her hands dirty. No? So it's someone that is able to do the job, no, really practical, the practical job. So something that we can discuss about. Also, there's a feature, characteristic of the gardener that should consider.
Thank you. Stephanie and Taiwo, anybody wants to say anything? Taiwo or Stephanie?
I'm still piecing together the dots from the back and forth. I think I'm closer to the idea now, but I'll wait for a few more comments before I chip in.
Stephanie, do you want to say anything? Okay. If not, then I will share you something which I've done.
I'm very curious.
Where's my? How can I share it? I'll share it. Right here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see my thing? So since Ed talked about the gardening, so I was thinking about it for the last 1 or 2 weeks, and I've come up with this idea of the ethical gardener. Can you see the screen? Okay. So I put the SDGs as the plants, and you can see the gardener. But there are 5 areas. I think the first area includes materiality. So I have brought things together, and which also actually is in quite parallel with what Ed was talking about, nurturing, choosing tools widely, listening to ecosystems, and learning iteratively and adapts without rushing. Ed did talk about not to go into technologies very quickly. So, but I thought it was a wonderful metaphor, and it encompasses different regions as well, and because when you garden in different areas, different countries, it's quite different, and a lot of people have their own cultural aspect to gardening. So this is what I've come out with. I mean, I can share this with you. I don't want to go through the whole words, but then it's about the ethical gardener is the uses the sustainable approach using ethical choices and system thinking. So that was my view on that. And before hearing Eduardo's presentation, now a few comments on Eduardo's was that I really like some of the slides, but I thought in the slides maybe we can put some more plants inside it, just instead of the table, just to show, just to make it a bit more gardening issue. But one of the things which I was still struggling when I heard this talk, and also myself, is more for the project managers. Why should I do it? Why should I use this approach? And maybe that's something we have to make it quite clear, focusing on what is the purpose of it all. So once we can convince that project manager, and project manager does inspire or convinces his stakeholders, then we can use the approach. Then this is the ethical gardener approach. So that's my view from the last 2 weeks of thinking through. Any comments on this? Ed, do you have anything to say on this screen?
I see many points. In addition, Ravindra, the 9, not the 8 leaves
Yes.
plus the button is too
Yes.
much, no? So it's not good for fixing it in anybody's mind. So for sure we need to reduce the principles, no? The leaves of the daisy. So maybe 5 things are easier, 5 principles are easier to be reminded. So I like it. The same points here for convincing people to do like the gardener. No, so it's a crucial point that you approach. I would always try to represent the advantage for the project sponsor, no? Because for the project manager, okay, no, we like it, we are purpose driven, that is fantastic, no? But in most cases we are hired by some organization. So representing what is the advantage of behaving like the gardener for the project sponsor, that is the organization itself, is very important. So I would develop a stronger narrative for that. No, the strong point. There are many points that we can list and all together about what are the advantages of the advantage for an organization to behave like the gardener, or to have project managers behaving like the gardener. So the ethical approach and the purpose driven, I like it. It's what moves myself. No, I think I am a person that is purpose driven when I do anything. On the other hand, I need to explain to my project sponsor organization why and how I am using the resources that I am given of. So, what thing?
Yeah, no, and I think that's where Christina's materiality comes in, and I put that in the first line: nurtures with intent. Intent is the main thing. So materiality. So local government does sustainable project management to cut down waste. Some other company does it for some purpose. So the materiality, which is Christina's pet subject, which we'll be talking about next week, that I think captures the sponsors, stakeholders. Why should they do it? And I hope we can. Anyway, Christina has her hands raised up very high. Let us speak. Christina, carry on. No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's only to agree with Ed, because and I've been working in consulting since 2002, and I started with project, program, and portfolio management, consulting, implementation of methodologies and PMOs. So I was always aware about the meaning of the project, the value that would be created by projects, by portfolio of projects and programs to the organization. As Ed said, why organization put money in that on those portfolios, on those projects? Why does an organization makes the employees work for a specific project? So this why is materiality. When you are talking about sustainability, this is materiality, and it's the why related to the themes of sustainability, which can be the SDGs. So if the organization has a huge impact in energy or in carbon, in in water waste or some other themes, the organization have risks that can threat the business. So the organization wants to put money and time and resources to deal with them, and it's going to be done by a project. So this is exactly what Eduardo was saying, and the name of this is materiality.
Okay,
It's
great,
to
great.
understand what's
I will
material.
adopt it. We'll adopt it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
my
what I wanted to say, just to finish, is that it's very old. I studied the PMBOK 1996. I'm old. So, and there we have the concept of justifying the project to the organization. So creating value is not a new concept. It's a very old concept because projects exist to create value, to connect with the strategy of the organization. Otherwise, they would not put resources, money, and time on them.
Thank you, Christian. I mean, we have only about 15, 20 minutes left, but I did also look into several posts on materiality. I think it's a good idea, but perhaps it also needs a good metaphor, and maybe this is the way it might capture it. So we'll talk about it a bit later on. So anybody, Taiwo or Stephanie or Ang, wants to make any comment, any questions? Okay.
No, just sorry, I have
Can you
made
hear-
back-to-back meetings, but
Right.
yeah, just got here.
Okay, thanks, Ang. Stephanie, any comments, any questions while you're still traveling?
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Could you hear me earlier?
No, we couldn't.
No. Okay. I was just chatting away. No, I was just saying that I really liked the presentation. I didn't get to see the beginning, but I really liked the concept of looking at it from a gardener's perspective. I love gardening myself, so it really made sense to me. And I like the daisy with all the petals. I think that was great. And I was gonna put in a plug saying maybe you might want to do that presentation to like my chapter, because it was just like a different way of looking at it, and I think it would kind of help people frame it in their minds a bit better. So no, it was really great. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Taiwo, anything, Taiwo, from you?
Hello. Yeah. I take a I call it a philosophical view to the conversation. You know, the idea that most of what we're trying to socialize here or mainstream is not necessarily new. It's more of the foreignness that we're contending with, that we have something that those who have invested time in trying to understand it considers it intuitive enough. When you finally break down sustainability to most people, they agree with the imperative for it, but the challenge is getting them to the point where they even want to listen or pay attention. And so the philosophy of science view of it that I have is that when we start to use this type of comparative narrative, the idea of the gardening or the gardener and the garden, what we're trying to do is to bring the concept into the realm of what the society considers norm already. We are all familiar with what happens with gardening. I like how Christina tried to summarize what she has taken away from Eduardo's presentation. But in all of it, I think the work we are doing here is to continue to explore what does society already know, or that they already are very familiar with, that we can use to introduce another concept that is very present with us, but they consider foreign. Now, the challenge when we do that is we need to carefully forge the link between the example that we're using to ensure that we do not skew our original intention, or to expand the generalizability of what we're trying to present, without also making it too simplistic as to or falling into that reductionist kind of trap. So when I listen to a conversation like this, I'm excited that we found something as simple and as interesting as gardening. But the researcher in me is also watching out for what are the areas where we need to explore some more assumptions. What are some of the areas where we need to avoid a reductionist kind of trap? What limitations are there to this comparative kind of analysis? What are the pros and cons? And as I was listening to the back and forth, I'm already trying to reflect on that. But maybe a follow-up to this conversation would be me sending to this meeting chat some of the ideas that I think we might want to consider as we continue to share this information with the community. I like that Stephanie is already considering an opportunity to share this at a chapter level. These are the kind of things we want to do. But coming from a thought leadership perspective, we want to stress test every idea that we're going to share out there. So I like this community type of interaction where you basically it's an environment where there is psychological kind of safety, and you can basically share it as you think about it, and then Christina comes in, Pramindra brings his own perspective, and everybody kind of evolves that idea until you have a fusion, a dialogic kind of fusion. That's my perspective. You can tell that I didn't hear the entire presentation, but I appreciate the core objective of the presentation. We can hear you, Pramindra.
Okay.
You're muted.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, no, I think ever since Eduardo talked about gardening, I think that has really, made me think about how because I was searching for a metaphor actually. For the past many years, we've been working in this field, and we found sustainability means so different to different people, which we tried to talk in our demystifying sustainability webinar. Now, tonight I have a session I've been asked to give a presentation in a church actually. I don't know why they've asked me. My partners, my wife's friends said, "Oh, you must." They gave my name to one church, so I'm meeting. It's not a very. I'm meeting the older men in the church group. Now,
I like this type of presentation though.
Yeah.
Because they have a reason to really connect with you.
Yeah. So most of the people I know will be older than me. So I'm not there to, like they say over here, teach grandmothers how to suck eggs. That's what they say. So I've told them my presentation won't be a presentation, but it'll be a conversation. So it's about people of our age or older than me talking about. Now, I think most of them are white people in church, okay, perhaps. So I'm going to show this, my slide, which I made, just to test it out, like Taiwo says, test it out. And I think that's what we're doing. We're testing out some ideas. And I will tell them also, I'm testing this out. Because normally in conversation, we are testing ideas out, and I want to get the views as well. So I think we are in one interesting park where we are collecting ideas together and see how it works out. And I'm quite excited about this park. Of course, as Daiwo says, it may have lots of other issues, but okay. But we are talking about high level to introduce sustainability to any person in the world. Gardening is there everywhere. So as long as we can put thoughts into the different minds, so that's what I was thinking about. Yes, yes, Christina.
Do you think, I had an idea and a doubt, actually. When I was working at the DI group inside team, the DI inside team, and we were talking about diversity, equity and inclusion, we understood that the speech or our communication should be different for practitioners and for chapters. Because when you're talking to practitioners, you're talking about corporate objectives, projects, and maybe a small one, but most of them are bigger ones. So do you think it's relevant for our work here in the group to have a different approaches for those two groups or to other groups, or do you think it would be useful to make this type of categorization?
So my view, Christian, I think you know my view. My view is always be organization focused. So I've been thinking about what is useful for local governments. So very much focused on that, because if you talk very general, they'll be quite bored. So you're quite right. So we'll have to customize it as we go along to different groups. Yeah. So I believe you're right that it has to be customized to suit the organizations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry,
You're
my
mute.
internet crapped out. Can I speak on?
Yeah.
We hear you.
Yeah, Ty.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that we're always going to have both audiences, and it's going to be a dance every time we're talking to these audiences. Sometimes it's going to be practitioner, sometimes it's going to be the other group. I personally think that the work that Lucilla has placed on this group right now would be a lot of community facing conversations or interactions, and that will be mostly practitioner type of conversation. So if you have to lean on one side, it's going to be making the content practicable, or actionable, beyond anything else. And some of the things coming out from the research we're doing is also that people seem to be inundated by explanation of concepts, introduction of frames, of frameworks. People care about translation into, okay, I'm a project manager. I want to practice sustainability in my project management. What should I do? So look at the materiality example that Parwindra shared. That is something that I think we need to find a way to expand and make more popular in the community, where even if you don't know anything you want to do, if you can look at your project and look at what industry you're in and you're able to identify your material impact, that is enough to heighten your level of awareness or your readiness to justify stewarding those impacts. But if you don't even know what material impacts you have on your project, we're still too far away from folks doing sustainability or doing projects sustainably. So we need to find entry points, low-hanging fruits, and make those things very simple and popular, and reduce it to the point where a newbie, even project professional, can translate those tools into actions.
Yes. So one of the actions which I probably would like is, I did speak to Eduardo about this. We did create a sustainability tool for the local government. However, I think it's quite complicated, and some people say it's quite hard to use. And so maybe that's something Eduardo and Krishna can revisit, something which we have done before, and to see whether there's a way in which we can make it a bit more simpler and easier. That tool which we have made talks everything about values, about impacts, about everything it talks about, but I think it's a bit too complicated. It talks about too much, and it gives you all templates as well. I've used it, and some of the people have used it, but it needs a good level of understanding what the project management is about. Life cycle. It has every approach, requirement register. It has everything you can ever, all the tools, business case, everything it has. But I think it's a bit too complicated. So maybe that's something I will share with Eduardo and Krishna again. You can have a look at it to see if there's a way to make it a bit more not simpler, but easier to use by different modules. Yeah, and there are thousands and thousands of local governments in the world. All right, we will end now. So thank you very much for Ed. I hope. Sorry, yes, Ed. Yes.
I had my thing to say that I anticipated to you, Provindra. I am running a scientific research on the best metaphor for the project manager in the current times. So obviously I am thinking about the gardener. So currently I am recruiting people for 2 focus groups that I will manage in the next few weeks. The aim of the focus group is to analyze what are the best leadership behaviors for a project manager, and in my mind, my research will be with an inductive approach to see if the gardener emerges or maybe not. So I really would appreciate if you would join my focus groups. I will send a link to a form that I'm using for collecting availability for people to attend these focus groups. And in case you feel like, I would really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Count me in, Eduardo. That's exactly the kind of work that I was alluding to. And Pramindra, please, I don't know who recorded, but as soon as you have the transcript, please share with me. I will like to review from the start and all the conversation and see what crystallizations we can make out of it to share in the group. Maybe we can create a projectmanagement.com article out of the conversations we have today. I will share something with you.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're looking for, is to gain more feedback on how people, what people think. So the more feedback we get, it's better, and that's be part of it. Eduardo's research as well. But Eduardo, what do you think of the title, the ethical gardener? Maybe.
Pravindra, this is the key, no? The existential question about our outreach committee, no? To convince people to behave. Why should I behave in that way? Is it for ethical reasons? No, probably yes. No, from our perspective, I don't want to be that kind of project manager of that manager in general, no? Not only the project manager, that is only focused on the iron triangle and at the end of the day on the profit margin. No, that is what happens. For example, in the environment where I work every day, no, the manager that is only devoted to the people funding the organization, funding the project, the shareholders, no, and the banks. There is much more than that. So how can we convince? It's an ethical matter, no? It's an imperative, ethical imperative. For us, it's like that, no? Ciao, Christina. Nice to have you. And again, together with materiality, no? Materiality, Pravindra, is something different than being ethical. What do you think? Am I getting the point?
No, it is. It's both. Ethical also means being responsible. So responsible, that means you must be responsible to your sponsors as well. And the materiality links with the sponsors and the stakeholders. So ethical has a broader meaning that although you're looking at the materiality, but also you're looking at what does it mean, what impact does it have. So it's quite a, as Taiwo said, it's quite a philosophical thoughts, and I know that different countries, I think the Japanese will take it to a different level, because they're very philosophical. Chinese will take it to a different level, so then of course the Indians will be talking about the monsoon, monsoon harvest, I mean, but I think that's so wonderful. I mean, every country will be, and the Koreans will be talking about typhoons, so it's how typhoons affect their harvest, because Koreans are very good on rice harvesting. So I think there are wonderful ideas will come out, but as long as we bring it down to the whole sustainability tree, as you saw in my that I
very
put
nice,
the tree there.
like it.
Yeah, I'll put the tree over there. But anyway, these are thoughts we can explore, but thanks to you, Ed, that you are the one who started the idea, and it just is evolving. And
thanks
I
for
hope
letting me discuss and further develop it. I really appreciate talking with you and clarifying the ideas while we are talking. So thank you very much.
And I hope this group will bring it to a different level. And I know Taiwo will do a very good work on this, because he brings in different lenses, which is really, really good. Anyway, thank you all for this wonderful session. We are learning from each other, which is very, very good. And we'll look forward to next session for Christina, which she will talk about materiality. I think that will connect a lot of the other work, but it does not take away us from the GPM. Everything, the tools are that. When we talked about using tools wisely, GPM provides us the tool. Okay, so that's my thinking. All right then, everybody.
Ciao.
Okay,
Have a good day.
Bye.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.